Well, I'd like to welcome everyone here. Numbers would be few, but I think it's such nice weather that a lot of people are outside doing other things. So, my name's Roman Takasaki, and I'm a family practitioner at the Spanish Fork Clinic in Spanish Fork. So I've been there almost 30 years now. And so my presentation today is on activity to stay healthy, but having fun at doing it. And I guess hopefully you'll find some things that you can take away from it, but it's kind of geared maybe for people that like to do things other than just being in the gym. Because gym is great, but there's other things that you can do that really can be helpful. So let's go ahead and start. So first question is, why exercise? And I think that's kind of a silly question, but if you look up on, do a Google search on exercise and the benefits of it, there are so many things that exercise helps. It helps with weight loss, which a lot of people do it for, but I think that's not the only thing. Just about any disease that you can think about is helped by exercise. So diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, actually probably maybe dementia, heart disease, all those things are helped by exercise. But it's kind of sad that a lot of people don't really exercise that much. And so what I want to do is maybe give some ideas of other things you can do for exercise rather than just running around the block or being on a treadmill or a stationary bike. Second question is, if you do exercise, about how much should you exercise? And so the studies that they've done show that if you exercise at least 150 minutes a week, that seems to be the ideal amount. You can do more than that, but at least 150 minutes a week. And that can be split up like one day, if you did one day at 150 minutes, or if you did 5 days, it'd be 30 minutes 5 days a week, but just 150 minutes total. And as far as the type of exercise, I think that doesn't matter either. So anything that you really enjoy doing is good. Lifting weights is exercise too. And then a lot of people will walk, and they'll count that as exercise. I have some patients that'll go like to the mall or to Walmart and walk around there, because that's open like 24 hours. And that's still exercise too. So what I think when I talk to people, I think the main thing I tell them about exercise is do something that you enjoy doing so that you'll be able to do it. Because if you hate going to the down to your treadmill, or if you hate running, then you're not likely to keep it up. So in Utah, we are really fortunate. I grew up in Provo, and I didn't realize how many things there were to do in Utah. I lived right by Rock Canyon, and probably never went up there more than 1 or 2 times. But since I've been, probably the last 20 years, or last 5 years, I've been up there more than I have ever in my life before. But we also have all the national parks, and there are lots of things there you can do as well. But what I wanted to talk about is things that you do actually right in this area in Utah County, because there are so many things to do here that are really fun. So some of the things I want to talk about are backcountry skiing. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but I'll talk to you more about that. If you don't do that, some people like to snowshoe, and that's something that everybody can do, and that's a good wintertime sport, because a lot of people don't like to get out in the winter because it's really cold. But snowshoeing, anybody can do that. It's just like hiking, and that's really good exercise. And there are a lot of places, even right around here, that you can do that at. Rock climbing, that's like in Rock Canyon, and I'm not sure if anybody here would take that up, but there's a lot of opportunities for that. And then mountain biking, and then just running on trails, or just hiking on trails. So one thing I'm really passionate about is backcountry skiing. And I'm 60 now, and I just took this up probably about 20 years ago, so when I was 40. So I think you're never too old to take up new activities and new sports. But in backcountry skiing, basically what you do is you start at the bottom of a hill, and it's not a ski resort. You go, actually I've been on Maple Mountain to the top of Maple Mountain. In Spanish Fork, I've been up to the top of Santa Quinn Peak. And this morning I was in Salt Lake, and we climbed to the top of a mountain called Twin Peaks. But basically you start at the bottom, hike to the top, and when you get to the top, you take your skis off, make your skis so that they're regular skis and the ski down. But the reason I do that is that I like to powder ski. And does anybody ski here? Okay. So powder skiing is like the holy grail of skiing. It's almost like flying. There's no other feeling like it. But usually if you go to a resort, maybe you'll get one run a year that's really good. But when you do backcountry skiing, every single run is a good run. So this is just last week.
And it's you?
Yeah. Well, I'm the one that's doing it, and then that's my nephew in the front. And so.
And it feels like powder, it's not like crud
No.
or anything?
No, this is just, and powder skiing is actually a lot easier than regular skiing. And like I say, it's just like floating. But if you can hear my nephew, he was just having the time of his life, just whooping and yelling. If you ski at a resort, like I say, maybe you'll get one run like this a year, if that. And then you can see how pretty it is there too. So that's the thing, it's really beautiful. And then this is a run that we took.
Through the trees.
Yeah. Oh, and this is in Salt Lake. And just having that snow fly up on you, there's not any other feeling like that as well. But to get up to the top of the mountain, this is kind of the setup I use. So it's just a regular ski. Come over here. So it's just a regular ski, but the setup is the ski is really light. So if you had like your own skis, the ski and the boot would probably weigh as much, or one regular ski would weigh as much as two of my skis plus the boot. And then what happens is that you take your boot, and right here there are little clamps, and you put your boot right in like that, and it clamps down. And then on the bottom of your ski, you put this thing that's called a skin. And it kind of looks like a lint brush. So it slides one way and grips the other. So that just attaches to the bottom of your ski like this. And then it sticks, it has sticky stuff on the bottom. And then basically, this boot, yeah, well, let me show them first. So when you go up, you're going to go like that. See how it slides that way? But when you pull back, it grips. So you can kind of slide forward and then put your foot down, slide forward.
So you don't have the skis on your back?
No, this is what you go up with, just like that. And I can pass this around, and you can see how light that setup is. And then once you get to the top, then you take that skin off the bottom of the ski, your heel clamps in, and you just ski down like that. So this is a video from Timp, and this was like 4 weeks ago. But the other advantage when you go skiing like this is that, like I say, it's really pretty.
Yeah!
But that's, I guess, the one drawback about backcountry skiing, is that you have to know about avalanches. And then this is, behind Woodland Hills, they had that big fire last year. So this is in that area where the trees all burned. And so what it did was it made a lot more areas to ski, because now those trees aren't there. We can just ski down through those.
It's kind of like slalom poles and
Yeah.
trees, a whole bunch of them.
But it's really pretty getting up through those burned areas as well. Okay, so if you were to get started on that, like I said, one of the first things is safety. So it's good to take a class so you learn more about avalanches. And there's a website called utahavalanchecenter.org. And every day during the winter, they put out a report and let you know what the danger of avalanche is. So it goes anywhere from high to low. And they'll do like a red, yellow, orange, black to let you know what the danger is. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, they also put out a report that you can just call in, so you kind of know before you go what the risk is of your having an avalanche. And so that's the website. And you can also have an app on your phone that you can download and find out what the risks are. And then when you go out, you should have a beacon. So that's a little transceiver that if you got buried, your partner also has a beacon, and they can find you under the snow and hopefully dig you out before you die. And then you should have a probe so that when they find you, they can probe down and find where you're at, and a shovel to dig you out, and the helmet. And one thing that a lot of backcountry skiers don't do is they don't practice before they go out. So that's important to do that as well. But on this next video, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I was up to the top of Santaquin Peak, and it got really wet at the bottom, and so it did start an avalanche. So if you watch the video, look over to the right side, and you can see what happened as I was coming down. So we had a lot of those as I was coming down, and you can see the snow on this side coming down as well. And it's like just wet cement on these wet slides. And that just kept going probably for about 5 minutes, where it just slowly avalanched down. And then for the equipment, just the boots that are the special ones that have that toe piece, these really light bindings, and then the skis. And clothing, usually I have layers so that when I get hot, I can take things off, and if I get cold, put in things back on. So I have like a puffy coat, a shell, use a windbreaker, light gloves and heavier gloves, and then pants. And all those usually don't weigh very much either. And then when you go up, like I said, when you have that thing on the bottom, it's called skinning. And if it gets too steep, then you have to take your skis off and put them on your back, and then just climb up. But this is an example of my nephew Aaron skinning. So you can see how he's got the skis there, and then he just slides one in front of the other, and that way you can just get up the whole mountain. And actually it's generally faster doing this than it is even hiking in the summer, because everything's smoothed out. And then this is right across the street from Snowbird. There's a mountain called Mount Superior. And then this is where it got too narrow and too steep to skin. So put your skis on your back and then just hike up. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm taking the video. I have a little camera on my helmet. And then when you get close to the top, it kind of narrows down, so you're on these little narrow ridges too. And usually there's not this many people that are up there. But this is a kind of a popular place because it's easy to get to. And there was a lot of new snow, so there was probably about 15 people that were trying to get there all at once. You can see they're kind of like ants on a hill, just making it to the top. And the goal we're trying to get to is where that guy on the very top is. That's where the top is, where we're trying to get to. And so from the bottom to the top, it took about maybe 2 hours was all. But actually, that's the part that's really fun, though, too, is that that's your exercise part of it, is the going up. So instead of being on a treadmill or running outside, you're doing this for your exercise. And then the payoff is the one you get at the top. You have that powder that you can ski down in. Okay. So as far as where to go, I think this part will pertain to more of you, too, because the places you can go skiing, you can also just go snowshoeing at. And snowshoeing is pretty inexpensive to get into. But for skiing part, social media is a pretty good way to know where to go. Because if you follow athletes that do like the same things that you do, a lot of times they'll post where they've been, and you can see that on Instagram or Facebook. And then there's another app called STRAVA. And once you know where they've been to, you can go to the STRAVA app. And actually, a lot of times they'll have a readout of where they've been. So that orange line is where they started and where they went. And you know exactly where the places where they went. And that way, you could then figure out where it is on the map, and then you can go there too. And then once you know that, there's another app called Gaia, where you can actually take that route that they did and put it into this other Gaia app, and it'll actually give you like turn-by-turn directions, so you never get lost. So that's backcountry skiing. The next thing is like trail running, or even just hiking. So I think a lot of, you could do just the hiking in the mountains. And again, this is, the reason I like doing this is it really kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. And it's so pretty up in the mountains. I took my nephews, or my grandchildren, up Payson Canyon. I'm not sure what's going to be like this year, but this is just up Payson Canyon just a little ways. And you can see that it's pretty beautiful. All those flowers. That was just in the spring. But that's only maybe 10 minutes away from the road. And then this is up in Provo, there's a canyon called Slate Canyon. So this is the top of the Slate Canyon on the way to Provo Peak. And the only reason I show this is it's just so pretty up in the mountains. And then this is actually from the top of Provo Peak. And so the views are pretty spectacular. But that's Utah Valley, Utah Lake. That's Y Mountain down below there. So you're way above Y Mountain. And there's Squaw Peak over there. Yeah, so there's just a little, like a park right at the bottom of Slate Canyon. So you just start there and go up the trail. Okay, well actually I'll get a little bit later. There's another app that's called Trail Forks where you can look and it'll give you trails in your area. And then you can click on it and it'll tell you how easy or difficult it is on that app. And then this last one, actually this is from the top of Mount Nebo. And this is, I guess, if you go a little bit further and you get more energetic, you can do things like that. But even just going to places around here and going just a little ways up is still really good for exercise, and it's a lot of fun. And then this is another peak in Salt Lake up Little Cottonwood Canyon. It's called the Pfeifferhorn. And so when I posted this on my Facebook, a lot of people didn't know that there was something like this that was, in Utah and really close. So that's kind of you just have to find your way up that broken up rock. And then, actually when I go to Hawaii, I don't spend much time at the beach. So I maybe spent 2 or 3 days out of the week, 2 or 3 times out of the whole week I was there. So I like to, do fun things when I'm in Hawaii too. So this is just a trail that took me up to this waterfall. This is a lot of tourists don't see that because they don't, get out of their cars. They just see what they can see from their car and don't do anything else. But that was a waterfall that was on Maui. And it was raining that day pretty hard. So that's why it was so beautiful. But this was another day I was there where it rained again. And so the trail that I went down was just fine because it was in the volcano. But then on the way up, my trail turned into this. So the trail is right there in front of me. And so it was like 5 miles of this hiking through that trail, which was just a stream.
It's warm water.
No, it's kind of cold. Okay, so for trail running or hiking, basically you don't need much at all, just good shoes. And they actually have shoes that are called trail running shoes that are a little bit knobby on the bottom so you don't slip as much. And then you need, a lot of times it's good if you're going to go very far, actually a little backpack that looks like a vest. You can put like a plastic camelback in there, and then you can carry up to like 2 liters of water, and then that way you'll have enough. And then I like to take like goos, those little energy gels, or fruit, dried fruit is good, Snickers bars, but something you just eat along the way. And then it's also good to have a cell phone, But when you take your cell phone out, you just want to be using the app so you don't get lost. And if you turn off your Wi-Fi and cellular, it makes it last longer. And then with the clothing, it's best to have the clothing that breathes. So not cotton, because cotton will get wet and stays wet. So you want the clothing that dries out quickly. And then wool, I think, is really good for socks, just because they don't give you blisters. And I like to take a little windbreaker, so that's really light. They can put it in my pack and take it off and on as they need to. So this Patagonia Houdini is one of the windbreakers I think is really pretty light and pretty good. And then where to go. And this is the part I think that a lot of you could actually benefit from. There's an app you can download on your phone, either Android or on iPhone. It's called TrailForks. And once you download that, even if you don't have a Wi-Fi signal, it'll still tell you right where you're at. And so this is kind of a representation of this area. So on all of these these are trails that you can go on. And so you can just pick one and then click on it, and it'll tell you how high you have to go up, how hard it is, and where to go. And the other neat thing is that once you're on that trail, your phone becomes like a little arrow. And so if you get to a fork in the trail and you don't know which way to go, you just look at your phone, and actually it'll show you where you are on that trail, so you never get lost. So it's a lot better than it used to be, where you kind of had to have just maps, paper maps, and go from those. But this TrailForks app is really good for that. And so this is where I clicked on this Bonneville Shoreline Trail. So this came up, so it has the difficulty is blue, which is kind of medium difficulty. And it gives you how high you're going to be going and down, up and down. So you kind of know beforehand what you're going to be doing. And then there are also pictures that you can look at, so you can see what it looks like on what other pictures the other people have taken. And it's a free app to download. So, but this is also really good for snowshoeing. So if you wanted to snowshoe, you could look up trails right around here. For example, at the top of, in Mapleton, that's at Whiting Campground. There's a trail up there that's really good. That would be good for snowshoeing. And then during the summer, it's really good to just hike and walk up there. And then mountain biking. Actually, Utah is kind of known throughout the world for great mountain biking. And that TrailForks actually is a mountain biking trail, but you can use it for hiking as well. And so to find out where you want to go for the mountain biking, I do the same things. I look at my social media, like Instagram and Facebook. And when I see where somebody's been, then I'll go to STRAVA, that other app, and find out exactly where they went and how they got there. And then I can look at that TrailForks. And then the other thing you do is just you can do just searches for best places to mountain bike. But this is down by Moab. And after I had a drone that I used to take this, but after I looked at it, I realized that there's this big crack on that place where I was walking. But I think that's probably been there a while, but it made me a little bit nervous. But you'll be able to see that. But you can see that crack on the other side of where I'm at. And I'm just at the edge of that cliff.
Oh, I see. So the whole thing could have crashed.
Yeah. But I think that it's probably been there a while, so I think I was probably okay.
And it's hanging on. Everything's falling underneath
One of those times it will.
Yeah, I think one of those times it will. Yeah. So in choosing a mountain bike, I think things that you look at are the weight, because usually the lighter they can go, the better. But of course, the lighter you go, the more expensive they are too. Because you could pay up to like $10,000 for a mountain bike, which I wouldn't recommend. So, for $1,000 or $2,000, you probably get one that worked really pretty well. And then the suspension, they have ones that have just the front suspension where it absorbs shocks there, and ones that have the back. And so you have to decide on that too. But on biking and find out what to do, a lot of the bike shops are good as far as giving you advice. And the last thing is around here is rock climbing. And like I said, Rock Canyon in Provo, there's lots and lots of routes that people put up. There's probably hundreds of routes. And when you go there, you don't necessarily even have to, there are what are called bolts that are already in the wall that are like little metal hangers. And so when you go, basically you just need a rope and then a harness. And these things are quick draws. So those clip into those bolts. And the other end has another, like a little carabiner, and you put your rope through there. And so that's a pretty inexpensive hobby to start out too, just because all you need is the rope and the harness, shoes, and then those quick draws. But Rock Canyon has a lot of wonderful places. There's a place near Fairview called Maple Canyon that people come from all over the world to climb. And then Little Cottonwood Canyon, there's lots of places there, American Fork Canyon. So Utah really has a lot of places. Also down by Moab has a lot. And then if you travel, within a day's drive, there are other places too. So the Tetons, that's not really rock climbing, but that's more just climbing and hiking. So that's my nephew Aaron. We went and climbed to the top of the Grand Teton. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that, but that's really a pretty mountain and a beautiful climb. And then in Las Vegas, there's an area called Red Rock Canyon. And most people in Vegas don't even know that it exists as well. But it's just like 15 minutes away. But there are a lot of climbs there as well. And then as mentioned around here, there's Rock Canyon, American Fork, Maple Canyon near Fairview, Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons, Lone Peak. So we're really blessed to have a lot of different places to go to. And as I mentioned, for rock climbing, the only things you need are a harness, and those are not too expensive. A helmet is important, a rope, shoes, and things that are called quick draws, and those are what you put into the mountain. And to find out more about that, just the local climbing shops are really good and are really helpful. So in Provo, there's one that's called the Quarry, and there's a guy that owns it that's called Darren. He's really helpful as far as letting you know where to go, how to get started, what you need to do, if anybody wanted to do that. So if anybody had questions about any things that I talked about or want to know more, you can always email me at this address. So basically what I wanted to do today was just to kind of go over different things you can do besides just being in the gym and running or walking outside. But in Utah, we're pretty blessed to have a lot of variety of things that are available. And people, I think living here, we kind of take things for granted. It's because of we don't really realize what's here until you go out and kind of take a look. And like I said, people from all over the world come to Utah just to really enjoy some of the things that we have here. So I hope this kind of motivates you to maybe try some different things for exercising, just because exercise really is so helpful for your body. I try and do something at least once every week, and I look forward to that, and that really helps me to go back to work on Monday and make it through the rest of the week. So this is kind of, I go out and unwind and just enjoy what Utah has to offer. Thanks.